Check.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show will begin momentarily. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seat. The show will start momentarily.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats. Good evening. My name is Delise O'Mealy, and I'm the Executive Director of the National Consortium for Academics and Sport. It is my great privilege to welcome you to our marquee event of the year, the Giant Steps Award Banquet and Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony. NCAS is an organization that uses the power of sport to positively change lives. For more than 30 years, we have spoken out on racial and gender issues in sport and in our broader society. We have called out discrimination and advocated for change at all levels of sport. We have created award-winning programs that focus on insidious gender bias and raise awareness of gender-related violence, as well as human trafficking. Over the past several months, we have seen many protests in the sports community, and in the various debates that have followed, the reasons for the protests have sometimes been lost. Inequality, race-motivated brutality, and racial injustice continue to impact our communities. We stand with those who, through peaceful protest, raise awareness of these issues. This evening, we will honor some outstanding individuals whose strength, determination, and resilience will surely inspire you. But we hope to do even more than that. We hope that tonight, as you listen to their stories, you will find encouragement despite the many recent tragedies we have endured and the turbulence that exists in our world today. We hope that you will find connection with each other, connection at a time in history when we may be the most disconnected and divided. And finally, we hope that you will find motivation to transform the emotions of this evening into positive action. We will begin our program with the singing of the national anthem. Please welcome Elizabeth Ingram. Elizabeth is an opera singer from the Orlando area. She's in her second year as a studio artist with Opera Orlando and holds degrees in vocal performance from Loyola University and the prestigious New England Conservatory. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Ingram.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Ingram. Thank you, Elizabeth. Just before I introduce our Master of Ceremonies for the evening, I want to recognize a special group that is with us tonight. A part of our mission has always been to impact individuals at all levels of sport. This summer, we had the opportunity to spend time with some special young people from the Paramore Orlando area. We organized a Sport for Social Development youth camp in partnership with the Boys and Girls Club and Orange County Public Schools. A few of our amazing young people are here with us tonight. Please wave your hands so that we can recognize you. And now, our distinguished Master of Ceremonies, Ms. Jamel Hill. Jamel is the co-host of ESPN's Sports Center 6 with Michael and Jamel, alongside Michael Smith. Hill and Smith previously co-hosted ESPN2's His and Hers, a daily sport discussion program that debuted in 2014. Jamel joined ESPN in November of 2006 as a national columnist for ESPN.com and gradually began making appearances on television, including Sports Center, First Take, Around the Horn, The Sports Reporters, and Outside the Lines. Before joining ESPN, Jamel worked as a sports columnist right here in Orlando for the Sentinel from 2005 to 2006. An outstanding journalist, Jamel has received many awards, including the first annual Mackenzie Cup in 2007 in tribute to groundbreaking sports editor Van Mackenzie. The same year, she also received an honorable mention in Best American Sport Writing. Last summer, Jamel participated in a town hall event with President Barack Obama entitled The President and the People, a National Conversation, which focused on race relations, justice, policing, and equality. A native of Detroit, Michigan, Jamel graduated from Michigan State University with a degree in journalism and a minor in Spanish. Please welcome Jamel Hill.
Thank you, Delise. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad that there's a video camera back there because I have official video proof that I am not suspended, and that is not the reason I'm not on the 6th tonight. You know, it's a shame when you have to tweet out that you haven't been suspended, you're just missing a couple of days for obviously a very worthy cause. As many of you may have read, I had a little time off to reflect, and as I was off, there were a lot of things that I thought about, certainly regarding my career, but more importantly about the power and impact of reach and what you can do with that reach and how you can turn it into something extremely positive and just how you can sort of, as the old adage goes, be the change that you want to see. And tonight, I'm so proud to be this MC of this event because there's a lot of people that we were honored tonight that are the change that we all want to see. So I guess a quick round of applause for everybody who will be honored tonight. So, of course, what better way to start things than the man who is behind a lot of that? And that would be Dr. Richard Labchik, the president and CEO of the National Consortium for Academics and Sports. Now, Richard Labchik, he's one of the most influential people in sport and social issues, both in the USA and worldwide. In 2016, he was invited to the Vatican by Pope Francis for the Sport at the Service for Humanity Conference. Richard also serves as the endowed chairman of the DeVos Sport Business Management Graduate Program at the University of Central Florida, where I was proud to be an adjunct for 2 years. In 2015, Richard was inducted into the New York City Basketball Hall of Fame. He joined his father as the only father and son inducted. He's a leader, he's courageous, he's dedicated, he's optimistic, extremely giving, and I'm humbled to call him a friend and a mentor. Those are just a few words. I could be here all night to describe exactly what this man has done and the type of impact that he's had on our nation and again abroad. But I'm proud to present a look into his life's journey that has made such a significant impact in our society.
Richard grew up in a family where there was a strong tradition of doing the right thing. His father was an iconic figure. He signed Sweetwater Clifton to the Knicks, breaking the color barrier.
His recollections alone of being around his father growing up would fill a dinner table conversation with great tales, and meeting Jackie Robinson. he was a kid, seeing what his father went through for fielding the first black player in Knick history.
Joe was someone who, as a coach, never let race get in the way of doing the right thing. And there's no question that that had a huge impact on Richard himself.
When I was 14, I was at a basketball camp with 5 other white guys. One of the white guys was hurling the N-word at the black guy day in and day out till I challenged him, and this guy knocked me out cold. Well, the black guy was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then Lou Alcindor, and a lifelong friendship grew out of that.
Everything Richard has fought for has not been popular at the time. And he has been this courageous light that has said, this needs to be said, this needs to be heard, and I'm going to say it.
There's a fine line sometimes between being courageous and putting your life on the line. With progress comes pain, and that was a price that he was willing to pay.
When I was the American leader of the sports boycott of South Africa, I was actually attacked in my office in a college library by 2 masked men and had the N-word carved in my stomach.
Richard had very bravely spoken out against apartheid. There were risks involved. There were just a lot of bigots who didn't like what he had to say.
He was attacked for standing up and wanting to right a wrong. And to be brutally attacked as he was, to have the N-word carved with scissors into his stomach, he had to have been frightened beyond words. And a lesser person would have said, okay, that's it, I'm done. Not Rich. They who did that, it's the wrong person.
I've been involved in civil rights for the last 28 years of my life, but I can never, ever, ever know what it's like to be black. That's an instantaneous, every minute sentence that society has given to black communities and Hispanic communities in this country, that discrimination can take place at any time.
My dad taught me that a leader is somebody who stands up for justice and doesn't block its path. I've spent most of my adult life trying to help young people who live in crises that have become more profound as the generations have gone on.
You know, he's really been in the forefront in the whole bridge between sports and using that to achieve equality, not only here in the United States, but around the world.
He's been involved in civil rights and race issues for his entire life.
I automatically smile when I think of Richard. Wow. I smile and also a tear comes to my eyes. Whew. He's a good man. I thank him. I'm appreciative of the work that he has done. Thank you. Thank you, Richard Lapchick. Thank you for being you, and thank you for wanting this world to be a better place, and because of you, it is.
Powerful indeed. And I wasn't prepared for fully bearded Dr. Lapchick. I don't know about you. And with that, please welcome Dr. Richard Lapchick.
Thank you so much. First, thank you, Jamel, for the not only wonderful words you spoke, but also for your supporting the consortium, for being involved with the DeVos program for as long as you have. When I met Jamel, she was literally the only African-American woman columnist in America. And we still have a long way to go, but she's been a pioneer since I met her probably 15 years ago. And thank you also for being courageous and speaking the truth and helping us understand what's going on in our society. I want to thank Joe Crowley, our chairman of the board, for your leadership and the dedication you've shown to us over so many years, to Delise O'Mealy, who's our executive director, for the leadership she's provided, and especially to everybody in the room to help us celebrate using the power of sport to bring about positive social change. which is what we do. 10 days ago, our world and the world lost a quiet giant in Helen DeVos. She was somebody who was a once-in-a-lifetime figure. Her smile brightened a room. Her generosity renewed lives. She and her husband, Rich DeVos, as you know, helped endow the DeVos Sport Business Management Program. When it was time, when we were struggling in the consortium, they also stepped up with a huge gift that allowed us to go on. And that's only our part of the world. The type of work that we've been able to do, fighting against violence, against women, diversity and inclusion, human trafficking, working in the lower Ninth Ward. Without the support of the DeVos family, we would not have been able to do a lot of those things. And that only represents our world. They affected so many other parts of the world with their generosity. So I'd like everybody to bow their head in a moment of silence for the memory of Helen DeVos. Thank you. I'm from the world of sport. Most everybody in the room has some connection to the world of sport. I think in the past 18 months we've seen several events that have helped change the direction of sport, I think in a positive way. The loss of Muhammad Ali, I think, was obviously sad, but the news stories and the broadcasts that infused young athletes with the knowledge of what Muhammad Ali had done in his lifetime, the fact that he was so beloved that 100,000 people poured into the streets of Louisville for his funeral, another 16,000 in the Yum Center, not because he may have been the greatest boxer of all time, but because he was somebody who stood up for justice throughout his lifetime. I think when our athletes began to see that, it made them think that they might be able to do it as well. When the ESPYs put 4 NBA superstars on the stage at the beginning and let them talk about police, the community, and race in America, I think it also showed other athletes that they could do something like that and get a positive response from the public. Because up to this particular time, when an athlete stood up, they frequently had their careers jeopardized. So with more athletes standing up, it made a difference. Then it was mentioned that the Pope had a summit at the Vatican and lent his name to using the power of sport to bring about positive social change. Those events all shaped the day that Colin Kaepernick took his knee for the first time, and I think empowered him to do what he did leading up to September 24th, the opening day of the national football, or the day that all the teams and owners and coaches stood and knelt together on NFL football fields in an unprecedented way. I think we have seen a group of athletes empowered to know that people want to hear what they have to think about society and that they can have a tremendous influence on that society. The sports news has been filled with terrible stories about racism, about gender violence, about child abuse, about concussions. It's a time when those of us in the world of sport could become depressed and wonder what we were doing. Well, I want to share a little bit about what the consortium has been doing. In the age of Donald Sterling and Donald Trump, we've been doing diversity and inclusion training for the last 32 years. In the age of Harvey Weinstein and increasing attention to gender violence and sexual assault, we started the first gender violence prevention program in sports more than 25 years ago. In 1996, the consortium passed a resolution asking its member institutions, the 285 colleges and the university, if one of their athletes was convicted of an act of gender violence, that they would automatically be suspended for a year. If they were let back and committed a second act, that they would be banned for their lifetime. In 1997, the consortium passed a resolution against child labor, mostly in Asia, for organizations that were making sporting goods. And I didn't realize at the time what I was talking about when I was talking about child labor, but it was really the first time we were addressing the issue of human trafficking, which has now become such an important part of the work that we do. In an era when the NCAA banned scholarships beyond the 5th year for student athletes, the consortium gave, as part of its very core, scholarships to athletes who hadn't completed their education, who had been out 6, 7, 10 years. More than 33,000 athletes came back to consortium schools over the years to finish their degrees. In an era where student athletes were not doing community service, we made the other half of our launch in 1985 that they would serve 10 hours a week in that service program, talking about a range of issues confronting young people. And I'm proud to tell you that they've reached more than 19 million young people over the history of the consortium and donated more than 22 million hours of service during that period of time. My wife, Ann, calls sports fields and arenas sanctuaries or oases where young people can escape the things that they're facing in everyday life and have that moment of serenity. But it's the work that we've done in the consortium, the work that many of you who are here supporting us have done, that extends those sanctuaries beyond those courts with programs that help prepare young people to deal with the things that they are faced with. Our children are facing so many more social justice issues today than when most of us were growing up, even when college students were in high school or middle school. So when Barack Obama ran for presidency, there were 600 hate groups in the United States. When he left the office, there were 925. There were 1,100 hate incidents in the month after the election, more than 10 times the normal amount of hate incidents in a month. Anti-Semitic acts grew by 34% in 2016. Our children are learning how to hate. They're also waging war on one another. A child is killed by a handgun in the United States under the age of 16 every 2 hours, 12 a day. 400,000 high school students were hospitalized 2 years ago for a violent act that took place on high school property during high school hours, not in the middle of the night in some desolate place, but on high school property during high school hours. High school dropout rate in urban America is 40%. 2,000 children are reported missing every day. The thing that disturbs me, I think, as much as anything else is the wealth gap in the United States. The wealth gap between African Americans and white people in the United States today is greater than it was between black South Africans and white South Africans during the height of apartheid. Try to get a comprehension of what that means. According to the Institute for Policy and Ethics, the accumulated wealth of the Forbes list of the 100 wealthiest Americans is greater than the accumulated wealth of all 42 million African Americans combined. 100 people, aggregate wealth, more than all 42 million African Americans combined. The world's richest 8 people have the same wealth as the poorest 3.75 billion people, 50% of the world's population. The life expectancy, if you're at the top of the income level, is 14 years greater than the life expectancy for the bottom 10% of income earners in the United States. Black infants die at twice the rate of white infants in the United States. We have 5% of the world's prison population in the United States. We have 5% of the world's population in the United States, but 25% of the world's prison population. Most of those prisoners are black or brown and have committed crimes that probably won't be on the books of many states around the country for minor drug offenses in the years ahead of us. And a lot of people who don't think too deeply about this issue think, well, they'll be released in a few years. They can just resume their lives. When they are released, they are not eligible for any federal assistance for public housing. They can't vote. And you can imagine when they go to apply for a job and the employer says, have you been ever convicted of a felony? And the answer is yes. That's often going to be the end of that interview. 1.3 million American women are battered every year. 900,000 are raped. 34% of teenage girls will have a child before they reach the age of 20. And when researchers say, why did you take that chance to risk completing your education or possibly getting the career or job that you wanted, most of those girls respond, because I wanted somebody to love me, because they didn't feel loved at that moment in their lives, so they brought this new life into the world. We're the biggest consumers of drugs in the world, and the biggest consumers of drugs in the United States are people under the age of 25. Why do you take a drug? You think, presumably, that you're going to feel better with the drug than without the drug. The biggest consumers of performance-enhancing drugs in the United States are not NFL players, Major League Baseball players, or track and field athletes. They're teenage boys under the age of 16 who are not athletes at all, who take this substance knowing that it possibly is going to negatively impact them for the rest of their lives, so they feel stronger, faster, whatever it is they want to do to change their lives. There's a report of child abuse every 10 seconds in the United States, and 1 in 10 cases of child abuse are reported. We've created a lot of programming around the issue of human trafficking. Me personally, inspired by our daughter Emily, who has devoted her life to the issue of human trafficking. If you don't know the story about human trafficking, there are more human slaves today, between 28 and 30 million, than at any other time in human history. There are more human slaves today than all of the people who were enslaved during the entire Atlantic slave trade over a 260-year period of time. More than half are women or girls. More than half of the women or girls are brought into the sex trafficking. And I'm going to paint something very graphic for you, and it's going to be painful to listen to, but this is the reality. Average age a girl is brought into sex trafficking is 12. She's going to have sex 10 times a day, 365 days a year. If somehow she was freed after 4 years, which isn't likely, she's more likely to either die of HIV/AIDS or be beaten to death by her pimp. If she tried to escape, she would have been raped 14,000 times. Most of us know somebody who's been sexually assaulted or may have been ourselves, and we know it's not something that ever leaves their psyche. It's going to be part of them every day. Imagine being 16 and having been raped 14,000 times. The good news is that psychiatrists tell us that if they are freed, if they get housing, if they get education and jobs, they can overcome that and have a normal life somehow. It's almost hard to believe, but the statistics say that's true. So the consortium has started a program using the sports platform, as we do with all issues, addressing human trafficking. We've spent 30 weeks on 30 college campuses over the last 3 years. We've engaged more than 64,000 students, student athletes, faculty, and athletic administrators on those campuses with messages about what human trafficking is. For those of you who are young enough that you will understand this statistic, we've had 35 million Twitter impressions for our Shutout Trafficking campaign. And we just started this past week at the University of Nevada, where we engaged 13,000 students. And we have a short video. One of the things we do is that we ask these schools to produce PSAs done by their student athletes, and then we broadcast them during games, during halftimes and timeouts, and especially if it's a television broadcast. So we have one example of what the PSA looks like.
Human trafficking is the buying and selling of people for the purpose of sexual exploitation and forced labor.
Human trafficking exists all around the world today, with an estimated 21 million victims worldwide, including all 50 U.S. states.
Florida has one of the highest rates of human trafficking reports in the country. Orlando is a hub.
5.5 million victims of human trafficking and forced labor are children.
Based on the principles of supply and demand, the human trafficking industry makes a profit of $150 billion each year.
Anyone can be a victim of human trafficking, regardless of gender, age, or ethnicity.
We choose not
to be silent about human trafficking.
We can all use our voice to advocate on the behalf of victims.
Change the dialogue in our friend groups, on our teams, and around campus.
Use social media to tell friends about human trafficking.
Encourage our political leaders to take action against this issue.
To learn more ways to take action, visit
unicefusa.org/end trafficking.
We all have a role to play.
Let's do our part to shut out human trafficking.
So our Shutout Trafficking program is done in partnership with U.S. Fund for UNICEF. We're going to be here approximately 2 hours tonight. If this was a typical 2 hours in the United States, this is what would have happened. 277 children dropped out of school, 92 high school students were victimized by violence, a child under the age of 16 was killed by a gun, 166 children were reported missing, 92 babies were born to a teenage mother, 7,200 children were abused, 298 women or girls were battered, 206 were raped, and 228 were enslaved during this 2-hour period that we're sitting in this beautiful ballroom in Orlando. It's in this context of a new reality that we gather here tonight. Our award winners and our inductee into our Hall of Fame have helped people believe in what they can't see. They've built a floor on despair and a roof over the dreams that young people have throughout the work that they've done in their lifetime. And they know that there's something about sports, and it's a phrase we use at the consortium and with the DeVos program. How else do you explain that the Red Sox finished last 2 years before, for the 2 years before the Boston Marathon bombing, finished last the year after, but they won the World Series in the year of that bombing? The New York Yankees were in the World Series after 9/11 and gave hope to not only New York but America that we might be able to resume life as we knew it before 9/11. The Saints won the Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina. Houston is now in the World Series after Hurricane Harvey, and you can see here the same type of excitement that Houston is feeling better about itself in spite of all the tragedy that's taken place there recently because their team is in the World Series. Tonight, our Hall of Fame inductee is Robin Roberts, who has lived a life of standing up for justice and not blocking its path. We'll talk a lot more about Robin later, but it's such a joy to have you here. I am blessed that when that video plays before I speak, to see your face every time I do, and you inspire me every single day, and I'm forever grateful for your friendship. In sports, that's what the NCAS is all about. We stand up for justice for student athletes, for people of color, for women, for people with physical disabilities, for people with mental disabilities, for people from the LGBT community, not only in sports, but in society. We have a tremendous list of sponsors here tonight that we want to thank, from our major sponsors of ESPN, Major League Baseball, the NBA, NASCAR, the National Football League, and the Sports Business Journal, the Orlando Magic, Major League Soccer, the Central Florida Y, the MEAC Conference, the NHL, Tavistock, U.S. Tennis Association has a tremendous presence here tonight. The NCAA, the UCF Communications and Marketing Department, UCF Athletics, Albertson International, the UCF Foundation, the American Athletic Conference, and SunTrust Bank. Our greatest partner, however, is the University of Central Florida, which has given us a home. Dean Paul Jarley is here tonight, and we thank you. We obviously thank John Hitt, who, if those of you who are in Orlando know that this was a major announcement this week in the history of our university. When John Hitt, after 26 years, announced his resignation, it's been a privilege for me and those of us who work at the university to have him as our leader, and we will miss him tremendously, but we're certainly grateful that he'll be here until June, and he's been here for 26 years already. Our greatest supporters have been, as I said earlier, Rich and Helen DeVos for that financial support. How can I thank all of you for being here, but I particularly want to thank our staff at the NCAS. They have given endless hours of support for these social justice issues that I mentioned. They have a leadership role, taking salaries that they could be doubling in other areas if they were wanting to. If money was important for their lives, but social justice is what they're all about, and they're all social justice warriors. From Delise, who you've met, from Keith Lee, who's been a friend of mine since the mid-1980s, Jeff O'Brien, Susie Cates, Garnett Overby, J.P. Capote, Aaron Banfield. The NCAS is family. It's all about the circle that we close together and get involved with your families and your community. I'm going to ask my family to be recognized. I think most everybody in the room knows Ann Pasnak, who hates me to do this, but I'm sorry, Ann Pasnak. You are the inspiration of my life, who makes me want to be better each day, and I tell people quite honestly that as I go to bed every night, I can't believe that I'm as in love with Ann as I am, that I could never be more in love, and then the sun comes up the next day, and I always am more in love. I'd like you all to meet my wife, Ann Pasnak. Our children, Joe and Chamie's husband, Michael, our beautiful grandchildren, Taylor and Emma, who show me that the next generation is going to continue to do great things. Our daughter, Emily, isn't with us tonight. She's on the West Coast, where she's in graduate school. Ann's sisters, Sylvia, Nancy, and I'm not sure if Nancy and her family have gotten here yet. Her husbands, Joe and son, Dylan. I'd like them all to stand up and be recognized, please. There is something about sport. So why do we stay in the world of sport? For us, I think it's all about the miracle of sport, which takes place in the huddle. I can't think of any other place in our country or around the globe where the following is true. It suddenly doesn't matter if you're African American or white or Latino or Asian American or Native American or Arab American. It doesn't matter if you're Protestant, Catholic, Buddhist, Sikh, Jew, Hindu, or Muslim. It doesn't matter if you're young or old, gay or straight, come from a rich family or a poor family. Can't win if you don't pull together as a team. Imagine if we took that into other parts of corporate America, faith-based America, institutions of higher education in general. What a different world it would be. What a different world it would be if there were more women and people of color making decisions about what was going to happen in America. I don't have any doubt that all those social justice issues that I just mentioned would be more seriously addressed than they are in the country today if there were more women and people of color making the decisions about what our priorities were. The DeVos Sport Business Management graduate program is built to create tomorrow's leaders. We have had more than 400 graduates now. We're centered on ethics, leadership, diversity, service, and innovation. There are more than 80 of our current students here, as well as alumni. They are the arrows we're shooting out into the world to continue making this movement for social change possible. I'd like all the DeVos students and alumni to please stand up. My daughter, Chamie, said to me today that you always pick really good-looking students, and it's by chance, but you are a good-looking group of students for sure. We're going to be passing the torch to these young people who understand us better and understand what's going on in our society better. But it's time to move into the awards part of the program because we're here because of you, because of the people we're honoring tonight. And I'm going to briefly mention them, and obviously they'll get greater recognition as their individual awards come about, but you are who we are honoring. You're going to be moved when you meet Alexis, Lexi Richards, and Jonathan Tybur, our courageous student athletes. You're going to be compelled by the story of our coach, Greg Moore. The President's Award is going to Aaron Singleton, who was an amazing young man who's now got a legacy that we will all remember because of what his life created for other people. Our hero amongst us is Beckham Zobrist. He may be the Cubs' #1 fan, but he may also be one of the #1 inspiration stories for cancer survivors in our country. Paddock is our Civic Leader Award winner. Cerebral palsy could not stop him from becoming an Ironman, for climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and especially for inspiring thousands of children around the world. Our 2017 Barrier Breaker honorees we spent this afternoon with in a panel that Jamel hosted, and they were with us in our board meeting yesterday. The Wyoming Black 14 is going to create a historical context for the athlete activism that is going on today. These are guys who did this nearly 50 years ago and stood up and paid a tremendous price, and you'll be so thrilled to meet them soon in the program. All of our award winners, like the consortium, focus on the community, focus on helping people, focusing on creating opportunities for those who may think that they may not have opportunities. These people bring us hope, as of course does Robin Roberts. Robin joins as our Hall of Fame inductee tonight. First of all, her father, Colonel Lawrence Roberts, a Tuskegee Airman who was inducted, and Robin and her mom came to that ceremony a number of years ago. Also, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, Nelson Mandela, Muhammad and Lani Ali, Rachel and Jackie Robinson, Jackie Joyner-Kersey. It's an incredible list of people that we have brought into the Hall of Fame before, but we're certainly thrilled that you're joining them tonight, Robin, and we'll hear a lot more of your life story later. And I think all of us will realize by the end of the night that this is a better world because of our award winners, than the things they have done and that they have been on this planet. So I've been asked to make a major announcement tonight, and it was interesting because I guess it was told to various people that I was going to make a major announcement tonight, and 6 people said, "Are you retiring?" And that's not what it is. I'm happy to say. For 32 years, we've been the National Consortium for Academics and Sports. I shared with you, and I deliberately talked more about our programs tonight than I normally would, because we're about to go into changing our name. The National Consortium for Academics and Sports doesn't really represent what we do anymore. It did in the beginning when we were focusing on degree completion and community service, but we're doing so much more, but we're always changing lives through the power of sport. So I'm excited to announce that starting on January 1st, 2018, the consortium will be called from that time on the Institute for Sport and Social Justice. It'll be the same heart and soul, the same passion of the individuals working there, the same type of programs that we've done before. And I want to also announce that our first new program under that banner is that we are creating, starting this year, forums in Orlando, but we're making them a model that we think can be taken around the country, where we'll bring together athletes from the Orlando community, the members of the police force, civic leaders, civil rights leaders, faith-based leaders, anybody who's a stakeholder in our society, to talk about the issues confronting America today, with a special emphasis on racial justice, but not only on racial justice, but with the underlying theme of bringing people together in the spirit of unity that we heard the Black 14 talk about this afternoon. Sport can do this. It was 70 years ago that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in baseball. That was 7 years before the Supreme Court decided to integrate our schools. It was 15 years before the Civil Rights Acts were passed. sport was leading the way and doing this. There is something about sport. If our children have learned how to hate, we can teach them how to love again. And if they're waging war on one another, we can give them the tools to make peace. Thank you so much for your support and for being here tonight. God bless. Thank you.
Now, Dr. Lapchick, selfishly, as someone who once was a print journalist, I wish you would have changed that name when I was a print journalist, because it was so long. It took up a lot of characters, man. You could have given me an extra bit of copy with that, but that's just wonderful to hear. As he mentioned, and as is the theme of this evening, there are so many individuals we want to honor tonight who are both inspiring, encouraging, who are, again, creating that change that we all want to be and to see. But first, free food. Know y'all love that, right? So a buffet is set up in the back of the room, and once everybody has had a chance to enjoy your meal, we will begin the ceremony. Get some coffee, because I don't want anybody falling asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are shortly about to get started. If you can please take your seats. Thank you. If everyone can please take their seats, we will be starting momentarily.
We are the NCAS.
We have and always will be passionate, resilient,
energized,
and resolute leaders in using the power of sport
to make a positive impact in the world of sport.
For 32 years, we have been the National Consortium for Academics and Sports.
We started out with 11 member institutions
and have grown to over 280 collegiate athletics departments.
We have partnerships and sponsorships with all the major professional sports organizations
and thousands of supporters.
The NCAS legacy includes more than 33,000 student athletes
returning to pursue a college degree.
Programs and services that have trained thousands of current
and future leaders in sports.
And over 20 million hours of outreach
and community service,
resulting in $300 million in tuition assistance at NCAS member institutions.
Throughout the years, we have evolved beyond what our name represents.
So we are changing our name to more clearly describe who we have become
and all that we do.
We wanted a name that better describes us.
Leaders who give a voice to those struggling with social injustices.
Educators of those sports figures who use their position of authority to be change agents.
And mentors to those who have courageously challenged the status quo.
We are excited to announce on January 1st, 2018,
the NCAS will become the Institute for Sport and Social Justice,
a network of sports institutions,
organizations, and individuals dedicated to educating socially conscious leaders in sports.
Please visit the Institute for Sport and Social Justice website and social media channels for more information about our annual awards banquet,
our summer youth camp,
training programs,
outreach commitments,
and much more.
The heart and soul of our organization will never change.
But now our name will more clearly reflect who we are.
The vision and legacy of Dr. Richard Lapchick forges onward.
We're still changing lives.
Changing lives.
Changing lives.
Changing lives.
Change lives through the power of sport.
All right. Everybody full, happy, good. Don't all clap at once. So now let's get to the reason why we are here, which is to celebrate some inspiring and encouraging individuals who are worthy, more than worthy, of being recognized. Our first Giant Steps honoree is Greg Moore, the head baseball coach of CSUN. Being a coach is not just about winning games, it's about supporting your athletes, preparing for life beyond the field, and creating a place for the community to come together. So let's take a look at how Coach Moore does exactly that.
The only Division I college baseball program in the San Fernando Valley is right here at Cal State Northridge. In 2013, Coach Greg Moore took the reins, becoming the 9th coach in CSUN baseball history. He has dedicated himself to the program and this community.
About 5 days after I got here, I ran into somebody in a Starbucks, and they tapped me on the shoulder. I was wearing a Cal State Northridge shirt, He said there are more Hall of Famers from the Valley than any other micro region in the country. And I said, I didn't know that, but what a great opportunity for us to keep those young guys here and continue to celebrate the tradition and begin to build a healthy baseball program. We're winning games. We're walking into places on the road. We're winning games on the field. But more importantly, I'm proud away from the field. Some of the life skills we're seeing develop here, that's what I'm most excited about. First one is mastery mindset. Second one is the competitive mindset. How do the great ones push those two together? And Diamond University is at the core of our baseball program because it translates into everything that we do. We go to a classroom at least once a week, but it's a connection between big picture ideas and the small things we do on a baseball field. And it's just a lot of fun to see the insights they're having as 22-year-olds that, frankly, I wish I had when I was 32.
Something that Coach Moore does really well with us is that he makes us understand that baseball, in a grand scheme of things, is temporary. Yes, a lot of us will have the opportunity to advance and play professional baseball, but we focus a lot on, school, getting good grades. Community service here at CSUN is huge.
I think we all understand that baseball is a small part of our life. So having life skills and having communication skills and know how to go out in the real world and handle your own is huge. In the past year here, I've learned so much and grown as a person.
We've got a great opportunity with great land to put in some things that would be outstanding for these athletes. So there's many things we can do. They're very simple, but I think they bring comfort, and I think they bring an understanding to the community that you're welcome here, so that everybody understands that this is a place where baseball can be played, but life can be learned through athletics and through sport. We want to build this program the right way, build these buildings for the young people in the program now and those that will be here. And if we do that, when we leave here, this valley is going to be better for it.
Presenting the award to Coach Moore is Ted Haddock, the Executive Vice President of the Edward E. Haddock Jr. Family Foundation. And reading the inscription is Kenny Rosenberg, a former player for Coach Moore and current minor league pitcher in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. And Coach Moore, you're also welcome to come up as well.
Coach, we honor you for your commitment to your team. By showing us the path for a successful future, you are truly more than a coach on the field. You are a coach of life, an inspiration to those who you lead, and your impact will last a lifetime.
This is quite an honor. Probably, this is my greatest professional honor, hands down. And Dr. Lapchick, what you've done is incredible. I don't know what's more impressive, your consortium or your ability to speak at a microphone. I would vote for you. Choose. Susie Cates, thank you for all you've done. She's behind the scenes, but she makes this event go, and I thought for 3 weeks I didn't want to let Susie down with how I dressed, how I showed up, because she's so caring and loving. I was listening to her tell stories last night, everybody else's story, and she felt every single one of them. And I think that speaks to all the young students that are here. They're going to feel the stories of the people in the room, and they're going to go out and do great things as well. They're an impressive group. Kenny's obviously here, my wife, who taught me what real love is, how to give love to players. She traveled with me too. So I'm honored to be here. And she looks beautiful too, by the way. But I think what I'd like to say, because you don't want to hear me speak all night, what I'd like to say is I work in a locker room, and I'm just a teacher with a hat on. I really believe that. And this group does so much good in the world, and we need you. The locker room is a very healthy place, and I understand what you're doing in this room, why you're here. We know why we coach. The locker room is full of, in my case, young men who really want to do the right thing. They want to view people as decent, indecent. They want to elevate the people that they play next to, go to school next to, will eventually marry. We're so close. We're doing so many good things in athletics. I encourage everybody, young, middle, and old, to not get distracted by the distractions. There truly are fine young people, including this table over here, the Zobrist family. You guys, when you get into a locker room, you're going to love it because everybody loves each other. You're good, you're not good, you're productive, you're not productive, but they're going to make you better, and that's why we're here tonight. So thank you for having me, and thank you for all the good work that all of you do.
Okay, our next honoree, I have the pleasure of sitting at his table. That's right, it's his table. He's just the coolest kid. And I wasn't familiar with his story before coming here this evening, but I think he's someone that we all will be inspired by. He's our hero among us, and it's kind of hard to put in a word, Beckham Zobrist, what he's overcome at such a young age. He has such a special and unique story, so let's take a look at his experience.
175 miles southwest of Wrigley Field, in the small town of Morton, Illinois, is where you'll find Beckham Zobrist. Born in the spring of 2009, he is the youngest of 4 brothers.
There is no shortage of boy crazy here. The level of wrestling and jumping and chaos.
Besides chaos, something else was a constant for Beckham and his family.
Well, we loved the Cubs before the Cubs were good. Our whole family are Cubs fans, before Ben was even playing baseball.
Zobrist lines one down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Zobrist with an RBI double.
Ben is Ben Zobrist, Beckham's distant cousin who signed with the team last December.
In March of 2012 is when we started to notice this glare in the pupil of his eye, and only in certain lighting.
When I looked into his eye, one pupil had a red reflex, and out of the other eye, a white reflex. And I could not see anything past the very front of his eye. As soon as I saw that, I knew what it was. It was retinoblastoma.
Less than 48 hours after his diagnosis, Beckham and his parents were in Philadelphia at the nation's top hospital for the treatment of the disease.
I just remember him screaming, "Mom and Dad," and that's a hard picture to get out of your head when you can't do anything for your kid.
The doctor came in and said, "You've got to decide whether or not we should remove it or whether or not you want to do chemo, but I highly recommend you remove the eye."
On June 21st, 2012, less than a week after Beckham was first examined, his right eye was removed.
Within a couple of hours of being home, we saw him just get up and run again.
Here it comes.
He just rolled right with it.
Oh! You gonna pitch for the Cubs?
Yes.
In December 2015, he wrote a letter to Santa.
He came and asked for a new eye. He wrote it on his Christmas list, which shocked me.
I just thought he meant he wanted a new prosthetic eye. Not really thinking about it, and she's like, well, I asked him, and he said he wants one that he can see out of.
Santa's supposed to bring
a new eyeball. He's supposed to bring a new eyeball, and he can't. So we said, what's the next best thing? And he just said, a cub eye? You think I could ever get a cub eye?
Yeah, now you don't have to.
What'd you get?
Christmas morning, 2015.
There's something else in there. And this one. Oh, let me see ya. We were so excited, just so excited to see him open up that box and then see that cub eye. He wore it in front of our family like crazy.
What did you think when you saw the eye?
It's awesome. It looks fantastic. I wish we could all kind of have one of those.
Could it be our good luck charm? You know what? I hope so. Maybe Beckham will get to celebrate with us if we get to do something special this year.
The Cubs have given Beckham Zobrist the feeling that he belongs.
To see joy come from something that has caused him pain just shows how strong he is.
People might think a Cub's eye is a small thing, but when you look at all that he's gone through, I mean, that one little thing has given him an extra boost of strength. So it might be small to others, but it's huge to him.
And he might just have the most awesome name, by the way. I'm also happy to announce that Beckham recently became a 5-year cancer survivor. So, now to present the award for Beckham, or to Beckham rather, Logan Kasha, who's the director of photography at ESPN, Toby Hershkowitz, who's the feature producer at ESPN, and reading the inscription is Noveline Williams-Mills, a 4-time Olympic medalist who also is a 5-year cancer survivor.
Good evening. 2017 National Student Athlete Day Giant Step Award winner, a hero among us, Beckham Zobrist. We honor you for being a fighter. You are strong, brave, and inspire us to live each day with hope.
My name is Beckham Zobrist. I am 8 years old. I am really funny. I am a cancer survivor. I love my mom and dad. I love my 3 brothers, Brody, Kate, and Trey. My best friends are Trey and Cooper. I love Jesus, and I am a cancer survivor. I love to cuddle. I've lost 5 teeth. I want to dunk like Iguodala someday. I want to hit a baseball like Javier Baez, and I am a cancer survivor. My favorite colors are blue and black. My favorite food is ice cream. I love American Ninja Warrior. I love to jump on a trampoline, and I am a cancer survivor. I love the Cubs. My favorite player is Javier Baez. My favorite sports to play are baseball and soccer. I made 2 goals this year, and I am a cancer survivor. I run, I climb things, I laugh a lot, I swim, I ride my bike, I play hot box every summer with my brothers and friends. I play football every day after school. I build Legos and forts. I love Hot Wheel cars and Marvel figures. I collect baseball cards, and I love Swedish fish. And I am a cancer survivor. I am a son, a brother, a grandson, a nephew, a cousin, a friend, a child of God, and I am a cancer survivor. My favorite Bible verse says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I believe that. I will never give up on God because He never gave up on me. He made me a cancer survivor.
Just quickly on behalf of Beckham and our family, this is a huge honor for us, especially hearing some of the stories last night and just meeting such wonderful people. We consider it an honor to be even mentioned in that book along with the rest of these guys. So we thank you so much for this. And truthfully, if it wasn't for E60, we wouldn't even be here anyway. So we want to thank Logan and Toby just for the kindness and the care that they showed our family throughout the whole production, and just how you displayed our story and were thoughtful to us. And the one thing my wife and I really wanted was our faith in the Lord to be shown in that. And we talked a lot to Toby about that, and unfortunately, it didn't make it on the cutting room floor. But we got something better, and the Lord gave us an opportunity to spend a lot of time with you guys, and Shelley Smith too, who's not here with us. But and they seriously have become like family to us, and they will drop by when they're in the area. Spend the night at times. We get a lot of videos, and so we have gained in them a friendship that we wouldn't have had before, and we thank you guys so much for that. Lastly, I just want to say that we have experienced a lot of great things through this journey. We've met a lot of people that we wouldn't have met. We've done a lot of really neat things and gone places that we wouldn't have gone before. We've also cried a lot. We've hurt a lot through this journey, but God has always been good through this. And two things that I try to really speak to my family about is, one, no matter how hard or how bad the things are that we're going through, that somebody always has it worse than we do. That was the first one. And the second one is that any opportunity that we get, whether it's this or speaking at a school or a church, whatever it is, to always point to God and how He has been the one who has carried us through this. So He is the reason that we have hope and that we can smile and be joyful in our hard situations. So thank you again.
Beckham, you almost broke me down, man. You almost broke me down. I had to hold on for a second. Whew. And can I come over and play Legos and Hot Wheels? Because those are my two favorite things, too. Okay, up next is our barrier breaker honorees. I had the pleasure of spending time with these gentlemen earlier this afternoon. They have an amazing story. The Wyoming Black 14, made up of 14 members of the University of Wyoming's football team. And in 1969, they waged a courageous fight against racial injustice that changed the course of their lives and many others. It sparked national attention. Let's take a look at what they did.
Wyoming is that uniquely American West combination of vastness, isolation, and independent spirit. And in the mid-1960s, it was a football oasis for a group of African-American players. While they knew nothing of their destination, they were certain the equality state gave them the opportunity for a better life. At Wyoming, Lloyd Eaton recruited African-American players in numbers. The locker room was harmonious. From 1966 to 1968, Eaton's program went 27-5, with 2 10-win seasons.
He was winning, he was successful, he had a demeanor that commanded respect. The people of Wyoming responded to that.
If he ran for governor, he would have been elected governor, no sweat. He could walk on water as they were concerned. It came with the territory, it came with his success.
The 1969 roster included 14 African-American players from across the country. The overall talent on the team led some to believe this could be the greatest squad in Wyoming history, and all of them were determined to be a part of it.
Everybody was pretty excited about the season ahead of us, with one fly in the ointment, and that was BYU.
In the late 60s, BYU athletics increasingly became a target for protests over the Mormon Church's racial policies.
The Mormon faith had a ban, a prohibition that kept black men from holding its priesthood and prevented black women from going into the temple.
In the days leading up to the game against BYU, the leader of Wyoming's Black Student Alliance spoke with several players on the Cowboys team.
He proceeded to tell us that the Mormon religion does not allow blacks to hold the priesthood in the Mormon church. And in kicked my consciousness, my responsibility. What is my responsibility now that I have that information?
In addition to anger at the racist policies of the Mormon Church, many Wyoming players felt a simmering sense of injustice that lingered from the BYU game at Provo the previous season.
As soon as the play would be over, this guy would try to hit me in the back of my legs, or he would call me out of my name. And he did that continuously. I went to tell the official. The official told me, hey, shut up and play ball.
We beat them. Game's over. Normally you know, go and shake hands or do something. They're gone. I mean, literally, there's a ghost town across the field, so we're wondering what's going on.
That's what started this whole thing with me. We weren't fighting a religion. We weren't protesting a people. We were protesting the attitude. What was happening to us on the field.
All this is festering. We have been thinking about it, not collectively, independently, and then we got together and then started to have dialogue.
Some of those ill wills certainly rolled over to 1969, no doubt about it. One camp had to do with all the name calling and how the field was sabotaged the year before. The other one was the not allowing blacks to elevate themselves in the Mormon church. That blended into the whole narrative, and that, yeah, we need to do something in sympathy. Be it wear something on our jersey, wear something on the helmet. We chose a black armband, and we chose a black armband with a 14 on it. Eaton delivers the word. Don't wear those armbands on the field Saturday. Okay? But I have a question or two.
After much discussion, the players decided to approach Eaton again. The next day, the entire Black 14, wearing their armbands, went to his office. The 14 players were told to wait for Eaton in the stands of the field house.
I remember him pacing a little bit and then turning around and saying, "Gentlemen."
We'll just save a lot of time and a lot of breath because you are no longer on this football team.
Those were the words that he stated before we could even open our mouths, that we are through.
When he said you're all off the team, I just lowered my head in shock.
What you guys are proposing to do is defying me. Most of you come from split homes and broken families and don't even know who your fathers are.
I did all this for you guys, and so he acted as if he was doing us a favor to take us as black athletes on his team.
Across a shocked Laramie campus, word spread like a prairie wildfire that all 14 African-American players had been kicked off the team. The Cowboys lost their final 4 games. What was supposed to be the greatest season in Wyoming history ended at 6-4.
It hung over them. It had to have. The whole state had these expectations. And then it was over in a flash.
of anger.
Tony McGee was able to transfer to Bishop College in Texas, while 10 of the 14 never played another down of football. In 1970, the Cowboys won just one game. Lloyd Eaton was relieved of his coaching duties and moved into an administrative role. He would never coach again. For the Black 14, their protest was an indelible turning point in their lives. They went to Laramie to play football. They gained a harsh education in injustice. But it's a journey they would all make again.
Same, you know what, different day. That's what I was thinking. Now tonight is the first time that these gentlemen have been together since 1969, since they were at the University of Wyoming. That is 48 years ago. Presenting their award is Leah Wilcox, who's the Vice President of Player and Talent Relations for the NBA, and also Keith Lee, who's the Chief Operating Officer of the NCAS. And from the Black 14, we have Jay Berry, Tony Gibson, John Griffin, Lionel Grimes, Tony McGee, and Ivy Moore. Please come to the stage.
It gives me great honor and pleasure to present this to 6 of the 14 members of the Black 14. I heard of these gentlemen, unbeknownst to them, in 1979 when I was at Colorado State. And these guys became my heroes. They didn't even know it. Heroic in the fact that that was the first time I really saw and witnessed for myself someone standing up for something so they wouldn't fall for everything. And it's a longer story, but more importantly, I want to present this to these fine gentlemen and heroes that many people haven't heard of, but still stand tall, and their actions scream louder than I think they realize. We honor each of you for your courage and commitment to each other, and to bringing a greater awareness to social injustice through sport. Your selfless sacrifice helped further expose the need for change in our society throughout the nation. The National Consortium for Academics in Sports 20th Annual Giant Steps Awards Banquet and Hall of Fame Induction congratulates you for winning Barrier Breaker 2017, presented to the Black 14. University of Wyoming.
Jay Berry, safety, number 21, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm John Griffin, wide receiver, number 22, San Fernando, California. There's a couple of acknowledgments we'd like to offer, please. I want to thank the NCAS for allowing us to share our story. And I especially like to say thank you to Dr. Richard Lapchak, Richard Lee, the Board of Directors, and Stacy Kotz. And I'd like to congratulate all the other recipients for their awards. We'd also like to represent our brothers who are no longer with us, and I'm going to share those names with you. James Isaac, Don Meadows, and Earl Lee. And there's one other member of our team that couldn't make it because of illness, and his name is Mel Hamilton. Thank you.
My name is Ivy Moore from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I was number 33 at the University of Wyoming. I really appreciate you all getting this event together for us. And I thank you. You have to stand for something, because if you don't, you'll fall for anything. And you ask me if I would do it again, I would say yes, I would.
Lionel Dowdy Grimes, defensive halfback, number 23, from the state of Ohio, city of Alliance. And if you ask me if I'd do it again, yes, I would.
Tony Gibson, running back, number 44, Pittsfield, Massachusetts. I stand with him still.
Tony McGee, number 88, tight end, Ballard Creek, Michigan. We feed the world. But I tell you what, back in 1969, 14 of us made a decision. We didn't know the sacrifice, but when you do this today, we know what the outcome. Like Ralph Walter Emerson said, don't always go where the path may lead. Instead, go where there is no path and make a trail.
Next, we have our civic leader, honoree, who is Bonner Paddock. Now, Bonner was born with cerebral palsy, and while he was growing up, longed to be normal, but discovered that while he may have some physical limitations, there was never going to be a limitation on doing things that only other people dream of.
Who sets our limits? Some believe that certain individuals are born with limitations. But for Bonner Paddock, a limitation is an invitation to overcome.
For 30 years, I was ashamed of having cerebral palsy. I just wanted to be normal. A lot of these kids that are in our centers, they do not have the opportunity to talk or walk. So I feel I've been given a gift.
Bonner's gift soon developed from walking to running full marathons, which is where he met a very special boy named Jake.
Jake was a little boy that had CP. I got the call that he had died in his sleep. I just told myself right then and there that I was going to do everything in the rest of my life, that this would never happen to another kid.
Determined to surpass his limitations and inspire others to challenge theirs, Bonner set his sights on conquering the tallest freestanding mountain in the world, Mount Kilimanjaro.
I'll go climb this mountain. I'll make it. And I'll do it for all of them, but yeah, I'll think of Jacob Hurst.
Bonner's mission to climb Kilimanjaro raised $250,000 and ignited a movement. After the climb, Bonner founded the OM Foundation. Its mission, to give children with disabilities a future filled with hope, achievements, and opportunity.
Ashley is an amazing girl that has cerebral palsy. She was born and confined to a wheelchair.
A center that would allow you to get comprehensive care for these children could make a difference between somebody becoming wheelchair-bound or somebody being able to walk.
Bringing all the services to a one-stop shop so that they can get everything that they need every day instead of getting it once a week.
My friends adore you. They love you.
Really?
They want to be like you.
Bonner wasn't even close to finished. In an effort to raise $1 million, he began an intense 2-year training program. His goal was to develop the strength needed to compete in an event that challenges even the most fit of athletes, the Ironman Triathlon.
Some of the biggest concerns for Ironman is fluids are very difficult to get into the muscles, cramping, spasming of the muscles. Trying to pedal a bike and run a marathon while they spasm.
I don't know, man. What's getting you through? It's the kids. I mean, it's Jakey, and that boy lives inside of my heart, man. And no problem going through a day of hell for them. If it gives them hope, I'll go run through walls for them. I don't want to let them down. I know they'd be happy, but something about finishing that just sounds so much better.
After becoming the first person with cerebral palsy to summit Mount Kilimanjaro unassisted, and the first with CP to complete the Ironman World Championships in Kona, Bonner Paddock has exceeded his limitations. Who sets our limits? For the children of the OM Foundation, there are no limits.
Now presenting the award to Bonner is Paul Jarley, the Dean of the University of Central Florida's College of Business, Mike Redlick, Associate Chair for External Affairs and Partnership Relations at the DeVos Sport Business Management Program, and reading the inscription is Gordon Smith, Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer for the U.S. Tennis Association. Please come up, gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, 2017 National Student Athlete Day Giant Steps Award winner, civic leader Bonner Paddock. We honor you because despite your life's challenges, you have worked tirelessly to reach your personal goals and for selflessly using your successes to ensure that others, nationally and internationally, will have everything they need to reach goals of their own. Congratulations.
So now everybody can stop asking for my autograph. I am not Matt or Tim Hasselback, so thank you very much for that. But no, in all seriousness, I don't get nervous usually getting these honors. That I honestly think that I'm just normal like everybody else. And when I got the book from Dr. Lapchick and the beautiful letter, it's humbling. Because for the first 30 years, I was actually ashamed of who I was. Because we didn't really talk about my CP. And when you don't talk about something, it grows inside of you like a virus. And my parents didn't mean anything. They just thought that I was doing so well, so why would we want to talk about that maybe he can't do something? But we didn't really have a lot of communication in our family. It just is what it is. So when you don't love yourself, you don't respect yourself, and didn't make a lot of great decisions for the first 30 years. But for whatever reason, that boy, who I knew for 10 minutes of my life, has changed my life. Because his family, when I started telling people I had CP, were the first people that said, I give their son hope. Me, who I didn't know if was worthy of the dirt on my shoes. Blew my mind that people could love and believe in me by just being myself. That's what life's about. It's fascinating when you actually begin to love yourself. You can then be full of a ton of love for everybody else. And I think that's what this world is lacking, is love for everybody. And I always say don't judge anybody until 10 minutes, because Jakey didn't judge me in the 10 minutes I knew him, and I didn't judge him. And because we didn't judge each other, look what we're doing in this world. We have our centers in Africa, in East Africa, in Tanzania, and now moving into Kenya. We've raised over almost $2 million. 100% of it goes to the kids. These kids that were not allowed to go to school in East Africa because they are disabled. We partner with the schools to build the physical, occupational, and speech therapy centers that these disabled kids desperately need. Our project school in Faraja never could graduate their entire class because they have to take the national exam just like quote-unquote normal kids. Well, this last year, since our center had opened for this amazing school, 100% of the kids graduated, and they finished in the top 15 of the entire country of Tanzania. The second thing I had to learn after love was forgiveness. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, because in those 30 years, I had so much anger and frustration. My parents got divorced at an early age. My dad wasn't very good at expressing his feelings back then. So I began to blame him for a lot of my issues, my challenges, my insecurities. And with that, I stopped talking to him. That's a hard thing to swallow. and you realize what a kind, generous, hardworking, loving man he is. I changed my name. I was born Bonner Paddock Wren. I am proud to be a Wren. My dad sits over there tonight, and tonight, my award says Bonner Paddock Wren, the first time any of these awards has bared the name Wren. Because in the end, I think we're all family. We all can love each other, and we should all accept each other as is. That's the beauty of this world. And I learned that hugs and smiles are free from a 16-year-old uneducated girl that walked 2.5 days through the bush in Tanzania to get help from us. Imagine if an uneducated 16-year-old Tanzanian girl can teach me the meaning of life, then maybe we can give 10 more hugs tonight and 20 more smiles to strangers, because no one's kicked my ass for smiling at them. And nobody said that they felt worse after I gave a hug. So maybe we start at that level and commit to that. And at the end of the day, this world will become more beautiful if we keep doing simple things like that. Thank you very much for having me in this honor.
Phenomenal. Okay, our first courageous student athlete this evening is Jonathan Tybur. We all know that athletes, they train to get bigger, better, faster. But what if you have an incurable disease that's a roadblock to your success? Well, meet Jonathan Tybur, who is a fighter that faces adversity head on.
In January of 2012, my life as I knew it was turned upside down when I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. A health issue of this magnitude has forever changed me, but not in the way most people would expect it. It has made me more compassionate towards others, harder working, and tougher mentally and physically. Ulcerative colitis is a painful chronic autoimmune disease. Currently, there is no cure for ulcerative colitis. The symptoms are extreme abdominal pain and internal intestinal bleeding caused by ulcers lining the large intestine. They rated my case at a rare level of 72 on a severity scale from 0 to 80. Most people at this level required a blood transfusion and the removal of their large intestine. I'm fortunate to say that I was able to leave the hospital after 2 weeks with my colon intact and no blood transfusion. I returned home fatigued and 30 pounds lighter. At around this time, I met a 13-year-old patient with ulcerative colitis and began to be his mentor. Throughout his treatments, I gave him encouragement because I knew how difficult it is to go through these treatments. Competitive swimming has always been an ultimate passion of mine. The disease had caused a severe, sharp decline in my performance. I was determined to work hard and to gain everything that I had lost and then some by improving my techniques and developing better training methods. Thankfully, my hard work has continued to pay off. I've learned with the right physical and mental toughness that just about anything is possible. Of course, there may be unforeseen obstacles down the road, but I am winning the battle with ulcerative colitis. The skills that I have learned through Hard Knocks have allowed me to overcome adversity. The compassion, hard work, and toughness are what have forever changed me, and not the adversity itself. While it may take serenity to accept the things that I can't change, like having this disease, it takes the courage to change the things that I can, such as my attitude and how I choose to react to things that this disease throws at me every day.
An important footnote, Jonathan recently earned a spot on the United States national swimming team. So congratulations. Now, presenting the award to Jonathan is Farron Kelly, Vice President of ESPN's Wide World of Sports, Run Disney and Disney Water Parks, my longtime friend Keith Harrison, who has the longest title in the history of man, Associate Professor and Associate Chair for Faculty Research and Academic Affairs for the DeVos Sport Business Management Graduate Program. Reading, yes, all of that. Reading the inscription is Coach Abe, Katie Abrahamson Henderson, who is the head women's basketball coach at UCF.
The Giant Steps Award winner for Courageous Student Athlete goes to Jonathan Tybur. We honor you for living each day to its fullest and facing life's challenges head on. Your dedication to your sport, helping others, and raising awareness are what inspires others to do the same. Congratulations.
Hi there, everyone. Thank you for coming out here tonight, and thank you to the National Consortium for Sports and Academics for having me here tonight. It's truly a great honor, and thank you to Dr. Lapchick for all the work he's done over the past few years, as well as Miss Susie Katz for being the one who helps get me here and all the behind-the-scenes work for this. So I just want to say thank you to them. Not too much of a public speaker, so I'll try to keep it short here, but to introduce myself, my name is Jonathan Tybur, and I'm a senior at Texas A&M University studying geology and a proud member of the Texas A&M swimming and diving team. And it's truly just been a journey that I never foresaw ever. You know, I was 13, 14 years old. I was one of the top breaststrokers in the country for my age, and was really thinking that the future was bright. And then all of a sudden, I started having these unusual symptoms. I started having abdominal pain. I started using the bathroom more frequently, and began to notice blood in my stool, and couldn't really figure out why, and was kind of embarrassed about it. Didn't really want to talk about it with my parents or anyone really, and went about a month without seeing any medical treatment. Just thought it was from training that I was doing or anything really that I could come up with an excuse for. And after about a month and a half of this going on, I finally went to the hospital at the age of 15 and spent about 11 days there, finding out that I had ulcerative colitis, an incurable disease with no known cause, and that what I thought was my bright future for swimming and all these plans and dreams that I had was going to be coming to a halt. You know, they wanted to remove my colon as part of the treatment as being one of the first options. This was one of the worst cases they had seen in quite a while, and after they learned about my passion for swimming and that I wasn't willing to give up, they decided to go on an untypical regimen of medications to try and save my colon as well as get this illness under control. And I'm happy to say that I was able to walk away from the hospital with my colon intact, but was 30 pounds lighter from it. And from that experience, I had to learn how to not only go faster times in order to keep up, but how to do this now with less strength and less endurance that I had previously. And you know, that's kind of difficult to be able to swim faster with less muscle and less endurance. And so I had to learn how to completely rearrange my training in ways that before I would have never thought. And with the help of my coaches, I was able to do so. And you know, just it's been a journey along the way, and you know, I can't thank my coaches in high school as well as in Texas A&M for giving me the opportunities when most people thought I was done swimming. And just a week after getting out of the hospital, my first thing I wanted to do was go to a swim meet and swim in a race. And it wasn't really about winning that race. It was about being able to step up on the blocks and race no matter what the circumstances may be. You know, whether it was this ulcerative colitis, whether it was this injury or what it was, I knew if I could stand up to this disease when I was at my weakest, then anything was possible. I knew it would never be able to stop me from living out my dreams. And that's when the moment I knew anything was possible, and that it may have to happen a different way or not the way that everyone else does, but it could happen. And I just want to thank you all again for all that you've done, and to my friends and family. My mom's here tonight, and just want to say thank you to her and as well, and just to hear to y'all in the audience for your support as well. Just want to say thank you again, and God bless and Beckham.
Okay, our next courageous student athlete is Alexis Lexi Richards. Now, after signing to play soccer at the University of Arizona, Lexi was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. Within 24 hours, she started what was to be the first of 4 rounds of chemotherapy. Her first 2 rounds went as expected, but by the third, the chemo took its toll and Lexi went septic. Her temperature soared to 107 degrees and her lungs collapsed. She was put on a ventilator and into a medically induced coma and wrapped in a cooling blanket. Her family prepared to say goodbye, but Lexi fought hard and woke up 2 weeks later. Here is more on her story.
I always want to win, and losing's not okay.
She's a very dangerous player. She's very tenacious, too. You take the ball from her, you'll pay a price.
It's the best feeling in the world. All the practices, all the drills, all for that one moment, and to win is just the most amazing feeling ever.
Her accomplishments earned her a scholarship to Arizona, and she couldn't wait to join the Wildcats.
Wow, like people want me, like I'm good. Like it's like when you realize that, yeah, maybe I do have a talent.
She's wanted to play college soccer since she was 9 years old.
But while playing for her club soccer team, something didn't seem right. She felt tired, out of shape, and short of breath. They went to the doctor after Lexi noticed excessive bruising after a match.
I was like, oh, my mom noticed and said, we might want to get you checked.
He called me the next morning at 10:30, and at that point he did say that the numbers don't look good and we could be looking at leukemia. There was a side of me that was just ready to completely melt and fall apart, but I looked over at Lexi and she just had a couple of tears running down her cheek and just kind of bit her lip and took it on the chin. And I thought, you know, if she's that tough, then I need to be that tough.
Lexi now faces 6 months of chemotherapy, but it's a fight that she's determined to win.
They came to us and said, hey, you know, wouldn't it be great if she just took the first kick? And I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, she'll just kick it out of bounds and come right off the field. And so she took that kick and it wasn't out of bounds.
I said, you know, try and keep the ball in play. That way they can't pull me out. The kickoff was not good enough. I needed to touch the ball more.
Just 24 seconds into the game, she stunned everyone.
And I remember seeing a defender kind of far away on my left, and then the goal. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then I shot it, and I remember watching the keeper. It was like slow motion, her going through the air, and then she missed it. And it hit the back of the net, and I was in disbelief. And I turn, and there's a girl on the other team who has this shocked look on her face. I was like, oh my gosh, I scored. And then my teammates all rushed around me. And, you know, the doctors say, you know, don't hug anyone. But this was a moment that needed hugging.
It's symbolic of, you know, fight like hell. If you're going to get in the game, you might as well give it 100%. And if you got an opportunity to take your shot, take it.
I hope it inspires people to know that they should not be thinking, why me? They should be thinking like, yes, I get this fight. I get to beat something that is a big deal. I hope it inspires them to have a positive attitude and know that they can do anything. Chemo doesn't have to win.
And amazing news to report regarding Lexi. She also just learned that she is a 5-year cancer survivor. Now, presenting the award to Lexi is Dawn Harris, Director of Diversity Affairs for NASCAR, and reading the inscription is David and Judy Albertson, President of Albertson International, Inc.
I'm only David. Alexis Richards, 2017 National Student Athlete Award winner, courageous athlete. We honor you for your spirit, persistence, and strength in the face of adversity. Your willingness to fight and win your battle inspires us all. Congratulations, well done.
I want to start by thanking the NCAS for this award and for having me. It's such a great honor to be here with all the other honorees and with all of you tonight. When I was first diagnosed, it came as a huge shock. I was an athlete. I always figured I was a healthy person. The doctors gave us a lot of information and told us it would be 6 months of treatment with 4 rounds of chemotherapy, each about a month long. And my response was, well, I've got 2 soccer games this weekend, so I'm gonna go play those. I'll be back on Monday. We can start then. They didn't go for that, so started right away. I was immediately shown my room, and I figured at that point I had 2 options. I could either sulk and ask, why me? Or I could decide to have a positive attitude and to learn a lot from this experience that was placed in front of me. And I decided to take the positive route, and because of that, I had an amazing experience. I met a ton of great people who made me a better person, and I learned a lot. It wasn't always easy, though. When I woke up from that 3rd round after going septic, there was 2 weeks of my life I didn't remember. I had a tube down my throat that I didn't know why. I couldn't talk. I could barely lift my arms. And luckily I was blessed with great parents who were there for me and helped me to stand when I couldn't on my own. My mom helped me learn to walk again, walked with me every night. And my dad was the one, after treatment, who told me, okay, it was time to stop using cancer as a crutch and get back to soccer. And that's what I did. My coach from U of A came down, told me that they wanted me back with the team, and even if I never play soccer again, that I would always have a place there. But I told him, I said, I'm gonna start for you my freshman year. And I could tell he didn't believe me, but I worked hard, and I did. I did start as a freshman and became a starter as a sophomore. What helped me with all my success in overcoming cancer and through my time as a collegiate athlete was that first decision I made to stay positive. I think that just helped me see, the good in everything, and that I could overcome, and that I can do hard things. And it's helped me in my day-to-day life, because I know we all face hard things every day, and they might not be huge things like cancer, but they're still hard. And if we take it on the chin and have a good attitude, it'll all work out in the end. I want to thank my husband and family for their constant love and support, and I want to thank the honorees for inspiring me to be a better person. Thank you.
Now, our next award is not one that is given out each year. It's an award chosen by the NCAS president, hence why it's called the President's Award. Cassondra Singleton and her late son, Aaron, are only the third recipients of this award. Now, the two are being recognized together. When Aaron was alive, he was an amazing young man, beloved by his teammates, his community, his classmates. Cassondra is a special woman who raised an incredible young man, and while she suffered a loss that no mother ever should, she was an inspiration in her decision to create a legacy for him by giving life to others. Here is their story.
Touching tribute to a high school football player who died after a hard hit on the field.
They've been playing football together from the time they were kids.
I've been the blocker he ran behind since 7th grade.
When you're on a football team together, you're like brothers.
Tonight, football brothers mourning a teammate who won't get to grow up with them.
It's going to be unbearable, honestly. I wish more than anything for him to be here with us.
We would like to have a moment of silence in honor of the memory of Aaron Singleton.
15-year-old Aaron Singleton wore many uniforms, a member of the marching band.
He was also in choir and he ran track and he played baseball.
He did everything.
Tonight, Aaron was remembered by his junior varsity football number, 33. The Fighting Owls varsity team walked onto the field hand in hand, holding his jersey.
Not supposed to happen.
Aaron's mother tries to cope with the loss of a son whose only known health issue was asthma. During an away game against Cleburne, loved ones say the sophomore hit the ground face first.
He just got hit real hard, and then after that, he just wasn't himself.
Minutes later, he had a seizure. Family members say he had a blood clot in his brain surgeons could not reach.
I mean, he loved it. I could not keep him down. He wanted to play. He loves to play football.
Each ribbon pin next to someone's heart, a $1 contribution to the Singleton family. A family making sure Aaron's memory lives on through organ donation.
He will live on through others.
The story of a star athlete and honor student and his gift for 3 people he never met. A mother's laughter, her smile, knowing the gift her son has now given. In Fort Worth, Texas today, so many students wearing Aaron Singleton's number 33. His mother made the difficult choice to donate his organs. And you're about to see the moment Aaron's mother meets the 3 people who are alive today because of her son. 32-year-old Dustin Early receiving a kidney.
You know, I can do, just about anything I want to now. I'm grateful for that.
A mother, Brenda Flores, receiving a kidney and liver.
I'm so glad to meet you. So grateful. You too.
2 mothers brought together. And Mike Norton from Houston receiving Aaron's heart.
I'm so sorry for your loss, but I'm very appreciative of your gift.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Everything I do the rest of my life, Aaron's taken me there.
And along with that hug, she then hears her son's heart. A mother's strength, a son's gift, and 3 strangers grateful.
Now to present the award and read the inscription for Aaron is Renee Gillespie, head women's softball coach at UCF. And let me just say, Coach, I played softball in high school, still got some eligibility. If you need a shortstop, I got you. And presenting and reading the inscription for Cassondra is Ken Dixon, president of Leland Incorporated.
So 2017 National Student Athlete Day Giant Steps Award winner, the President's Award to Aaron Singleton. In your memory, we honor your love for life, family, friendship, sports, and community. Your life meant the world to those who you shared it with, and those whose lives will go on from your incredible gift. Thank you.
President's Award, Cassondra Singleton. We honor you for your incredible strength and courage through tremendous loss. We are inspired by your love for your son and his spirit of giving by granting life to those who may have perished. Because of your gift, his heart beats on and his legacy knows no bounds.
I'm a little bit hoarse tonight, but I want to say thank you to NCAS for having us here, and Dr. Lapchick for hearing about our story and about Aaron, and helping me honor him by sharing his story. And Susie has been amazing this whole time, keeping in touch with me, getting pictures together and everything, and just keeping me encouraged to continue staying strong to come tonight. When Aaron was playing his last JV game on November 3rd, almost a year ago, something happened. Had a hard hit. He walked off the field and he knew he didn't feel right. Told everybody, and they looked at him. Then he started having seizures. Got him to the hospital, and that night the doctors told us that there was nothing they could do because the spot in his brain they needed to get couldn't even be reached with surgery. And that was hard to take. Aaron is my third of 5 boys. We lost his father 11 years ago in September to leukemia. He was a soldier. So it's been tough, really hard on everyone. Losing Aaron, even harder. Through the community, our church family, and especially all the kids at school supporting us, and my kids too, we continue to stay strong. And we continue to stay in touch with all the recipients. We know we have met the 3 recipients. We know there are at least 2 more of either tissues or something like that. They've had restoration of sight. And that is all due to Aaron. And we are thankful for Life Gift to continue to support us, and we plan on continuing to support them everywhere we go. One other thing we've done is we donated Aaron's brain to research with the help of Practice Like Pros. They came to us, Terry O'Neill came to us and said, that they were very, very sorry for our loss, but having Aaron's brain to help study secondary impact syndrome would be very helpful. And I said, of course. I think he would want that. He would want to be helping others, as he always did, everywhere he went. So we did. And with the National Institute of Health and their doctors, we've been in contact with them. They're still doing their research, and I'm just letting them do it. They said that it gives them new insight and a new angle in how to approach some of these things that they've been looking at all along. So I just want to say thank y'all for being here, and thank you.
that just reminded me of something a friend of mine told me a long time ago, is that when you're faced with an obstacle or adversity or challenge, something that seems very difficult to overcome, go out and bless somebody, because that's almost the perfect remedy for how to kind of overcome some heartbreaking things. Our next award is our Hall of Fame inductee, and that is Robin Roberts. Now this award, oh, you guys can clap. She deserves all the applause. Now, this award is very personal for me. And as some of you know, I've been through a lot in the last month. Got a lot of different calls of support from different people. But there was one that really stuck out. There's a number I didn't recognize. And I listened to the message, and it was Robin Roberts. And she left me the most supportive, encouraging message as only Robin Roberts could, as she carries herself with so much grace and humility. And long before I got into broadcasting, I love this woman from afar. And what's even better is when you meet people that you love from afar and they're even better person than what you thought they would be. And let me tell you, when I told people I was coming here and helping to present this Hall of Fame induction to Robin at ESPN, I can't tell you the number of people said, tell Robin I said hello, tell Robin I love her, tell Robin this, tell Robin that. I don't want to disrespect any of my colleagues, but I really think Robin Roberts might be the most beloved person in ESPN history. And that is saying a lot, because it's a lot of great people who work there. But I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about this woman. And that's kind of hard to do in our business, and she's achieved that. We all know she's a fighter, a survivor of breast cancer and MDS. She's an author, know about her as a former hoop star. But she's a big-time inspiration to a lot of women of color in this business, a lot of women, period, but especially for women of color who we sometimes go through these moments where we don't know if we really can do this, and then we can look up in the morning and see Robin Roberts, and it somehow makes all of this feel a little bit better and a little more possible. So she's inspired me. She's inspired many others, so let's take a look at how her inspiration has changed lives.
It's a journey filled with hope, marked by achievement, fueled by inspiration. We get out of life what we put into it, with outstretched arms and open heart. It's why we do what we do, even if it takes thousands of miles. We go, we do, we create, we wonder, we dream, we connect, together. Together, it's where we draw our strength, a family, united, committed, always reaching.
Mr. President, sounds good, doesn't it?
You know, it's got a certain ring to it.
Learning from the past, leading the charge into the limitless future.
There's a lot of responsibility that goes with doing what we do. I mean, we're journalists and we cover very important stories.
Mr. President, are you still opposed to same-sex marriage?
I think same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Have you had any conversations with Donald Trump since the release of the tape?
I don't have to tell you this, Amanda. There's some people who are never going to be convinced that you are innocent. You never wanted to make this about race. You wanted to make it about justice.
But it's also trying to do whatever we can to add to someone's life. I think about the time that we were able to reunite a family.
Little Maya Esther, still at an orphanage in Port-au-Prince when the earthquake struck.
You found her?
Yes, we found Esther.
Oh, thank you! Thank you so much!
So you're 10 years old now?
That was actually one of the greatest moments of our life, Robin.
To give them hope when they need hope.
You ready to get this cancer about you? Let's do it.
There are no words that she is doing as well as she is. Leah, we love you.
Okay. Okay? I do not take lightly that I have the opportunity to say,
good morning. Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. That never gets old. It takes a village, and I'm so happy with my village.
How However high the human spirit may soar, however low the challenges that test us, however uplifting the moments that unite us,
Is your heart pounding?
I'm so nervous for her right now.
I know.
we are connected. It is not the destination. It is the journey.
Not bad for two girls from Mississippi.
The company we share, the lives we better, the difference we make.
I pinch myself every day and just so grateful that I've had these opportunities.
I'm here to say more about my play auntie in my head. We have Rob King, Senior Vice President of Original Content, News Gathering and Digital Media at ESPN, Katrina Adams, who's the Chairman of the Board, CEO, and President of the U.S. Tennis Association, and of course, Dr. Richard Lapchick.
So in our invitation, we were asked to spend a couple of minutes telling a personal story or giving personal remarks. So I'm going to do that. I'm a hard-bitten senior executive at ESPN. And last summer, the last time I saw Robin, we were in New Orleans in August at an early stage of the National Association of Black Journalists Convention at an event hosted by the Sports Task Force, where Robin graciously spoke to a room about this size. The event was hosted by two SportsCenter anchors, Michael Eaves and Elle Duncan. And Elle Duncan spent most of the time preparing to announce Robin, hopping up and down, eager to get her hug. And if I weren't such a hard-bitten ESPN executive, I might be doing exactly the same thing. In fact, that's how I feel right now. The other thing that happened a few moments after Robin spoke, you may remember this, is we took a class picture. There were probably 90 or 95 ESPN employees, executives and newbies, all huddled together. I sat down and Robin was right behind me next to Roz Durant and some folks on either side. It was the best moment of my entire summer. But part of what came to me in that moment, and what you see right now, is the connective tissue between Robin and Jamel, who I am so proud to call a colleague. Because I'm certain that there's someone who is out there right now who's going to be connected to Jamel, and that thread will continue. I have no doubt of that. Quite simply put, it's an honor to speak about Robin from the perspective of ESPN, because I can tell you right now, the Mount Rushmore of people of color at ESPN would contain Stuart Scott, John Saunders, Tommy Jackson, and Robin Roberts.
You know, it's customary when you stand up here before a crowd like this to say what an honor it is to be standing where you are. But those words have never rung more true to me than they do tonight, because I could not be more honored than I am to introduce my friend Robin Roberts for induction into the National Consortium of Academics and Sports Hall of Fame, along with Dr. Richard Lapchick. To say that Robin is a special person would be would understate the obvious. She's a great friend to me, but more, she's a remarkable role model and an inspiration for me and for thousands of others who have long been in awe of her grace, good humor, and her unmatched insight, intelligence, and integrity. I look up to Robin. Well, not only when she's wearing heels, of course, but there's no one more genuine or more giving than there is for one more tough or no more tenacious. In everything that she does, both personally and professionally, Robin always manages to set the standard. She's won the awards as an athlete and as a journalist. She's been a vocal and visible advocate for diversity and inclusion. She used her own personal health battles to raise public awareness and rally support to help others in their own struggles. She is the person we all aspire to be, and she's also got a pretty fair jump shot. You see, my heroes have always been those people who've used their platforms to make a difference and to help others. People like Arthur Ashe and Billie Jean King, who's used their celebrity to raise awareness of important issues like equal rights and social injustice. Above all else, both Arthur and Billie were committed to leveling the playing field for all. And that is the thing that I admire most about my friend Robin. She's used her success and her celebrity platform to help lift others by furthering good and important causes. This is the thing that makes her most special, because in the end, that is the thing that truly defines you as a champion, and that is exactly what she is. So it gives me great honor to stand here as Robin's friend as she is being inducted tonight. And of course, Dr. Richard Lapchick will have the final word on that one.
We've been doing this for 20 years. I've probably gotten up 3 or 4 times to participate in this particular moment after I had spoken earlier, and it's because of who we're inducting tonight and what she stands for. In a time that trust seems broken in so many places, Robin is called the most trusted person in television, and I think it's for a reason that she's earned that accolade. I would treasure something like that if somebody ever said that about me, that they trust me the way the world trusts Robin Roberts. I'm just going to tell you a few personal things, and that is that we were lucky enough to give Robin an Excellence in Sports Journalism Award when I was at Northeastern University back in the early 1990s, and she brought her mom and dad. And I'll always remember how grateful I was to be able to meet them. Her dad, I think everybody must know who knows Robin's life story, was a Tuskegee Airman. Her mom was this amazing educator and pioneer, and we became friends after that, and then we inducted Robin's dad along with the other Tuskegee Airmen and Roscoe Brown, and Robin's dad represented the Tuskegee Airmen in Orlando. And that night her mom, who I had fallen in love with by that time, Lucy Marion, gave me this set of cufflinks that were her dad's cufflinks, and I carry them to this day and treasure them because of who her family is. And literally, I speak probably 75 times a year to different audiences around the country, and I never don't talk about going to Robin's dad's memorial service in Biloxi, Mississippi, and seeing the outpouring of love of 1,000 people in that Air Force chapel for not only her dad, but the entire family, hearing Robin and her sisters speak and her brother read things that the dad had written, are just emblazoned in my memory. And I tell audiences that what this family represents is what we can do in this country, that we have the capacity to change this country. What is doesn't have to be. And what the family has done, from dad and mom to Robin and her sisters and brother, is just really an extraordinary story about America. And I think about Robin, and I think about you as I don't know if young people do this anymore, but I think there are enough older people in this room to remember taking a smooth stone on a lake and skipping the stone across a lake. And as it lands, it creates a circle, and another circle, and another circle, and they're all disparate circles. But in the end, when the journey of that rock stops, all those circles come together. And I think what Robin represents is the ability to bring people together from different backgrounds, from different beliefs, from different circumstances, because she is just so wonderful and so human, and I couldn't possibly be more happy to help induct Robin Roberts into the NCAS Hall of Fame.
So I just want to read the inscription. Robin Roberts, you were a champion of life. Your courage, leadership, and willingness to share so much of yourself and your experiences has given millions of people across the globe hope, encouragement, and the belief that they can beat anything they are faced with. As an athlete, television personality, executive, and a leader for women and girls, you've paved the way for so many who will rise to the challenge you've set before them. Robin Roberts.
Thank you. Wow. I ran out of Kleenex because of everybody else's stories, so I'm up here sniveling. Rob, thank you very much. As you know, ESPN will always be a part of my DNA, and what you said about that woman right there is so true. I'm not ready quite to hand off the baton. Not quite. But to know that the next generation is in such great hands. And Kat, this woman right here, I wanted to be her. Everyone thinks basketball was my game. Hey, you see, yeah, it was a little bit of my game. But tennis is what I always wanted to do. And what this woman has done with the USTA, with the Harlem youth that she has. She was just in Chicago, her hometown, doing clinics. She gives so much of herself and is such an incredible friend. I could speak on and on about Rich and about Ann. And there's something special when somebody has met my parents, who are cheering us all on from their heavenly balcony this evening. And Rich embodies everything, and we have something in common. You and your dad are in the Hall of Fame, and I'm in the Hall of Fame now with my dad. And it's so incredibly special to share that. You know, you're supposed to be polite in saying, oh, it's an honor to be recognized with others today. No, I am absolutely in awe of everybody who crossed this stage, the stories. I know you have to feel as I do right now. I am so impacted by everything that I heard this evening, and we are going to be these wonderful little seeds that are going to go out and plant everything that we heard here. And I was going to say something, and it seems so simple right now, but it's so true. I cannot agree. I cannot believe once again where sport has brought me to this very moment. It has impacted my life. I am a proud product of Title IX. I don't know where I would be in life had it been not for Title IX. So grateful. And it just changed everything in my life. When I was growing up, little pigtails in Mississippi, the only thing they would let a little girl do was bowl. You are looking at the state bowling champion, 12 years old, 12 years old. Is that the only thing I can do? I'm gonna rock it. And then my real passion, oh, Kat knows this, tennis, everything about it. I would be on that tennis court in Mississippi, and I'd come off the court, and I would curtsy like I was at Wimbledon, and I'd eat strawberries and cream, and I would just dream one day that I was going to be there. But because I am this height, a basketball was placed in my hands. And I knew in high school that I was not going to be a professional athlete. That was my first dream, to be a professional athlete. But I knew by my senior year that wasn't going to happen. And I knew that then I wanted to make an impact as a sports journalist, and though I didn't see anybody that looked like us doing that, but I said I'm going to do it. So I needed a college education, and for that I needed a college scholarship. I'm still the tallest player on my basketball team in Pasquisham, Mississippi, but I know no one wants a 5'10" post player in college. So my senior year of high school, I went in that hot, steamy gym in the Pass. That's the nickname for my hometown, the Pass. My senior year, I never had lunch. I went in that hot gym so I could learn a new position, so I could get that sports scholarship, so I could get that college degree so I could continue on and pursue my dream. Now, I wasn't in that gym going to my right, shooting that sweet 18-footer off glass because I wanted to be freshman of the year at Southeastern Louisiana University, which I was. Please hold your applause. Was not my motivation. I was putting myself in position for good things to happen. Proximity is power. You can wish, hope, and pray all you want, but you have to position yourself for good things to happen. I'm thinking of Beckham's family when I say this. My family, my mother and father, instilled in me the 3 Ds. You know, people know about the 3 Rs, but they taught me the 3 Ds. Discipline, determination, and the Lord. Those were the 3 Ds. Again, putting myself in position. Proximity is power. I'm there at Southeastern, and there are a lot of people who want to be a sports journalist. So I go to the local radio station in town and tell them, I want to be your sports director. I want to get that practical experience because I know, as a woman of color, that the margin of error is less than my counterpart. But I don't look at that as a negative. I look at it as a positive, that I'm going to do whatever I can to be the absolute best, and that's all we all want to do is be our absolute best. So I go to that local radio station and I say, I want to be your sports director, and they said, you can do that. We know you're majoring in communications. We understand that you're a good student, so you can be our sports director. And I'm thinking, this is great, asking you shall receive. This is wonderful. Oh, did we tell you, in exchange for being the sports director, you're going to have to DJ on the weekends. And I'm like, in your college, I want to be, And they said, oh, did we tell you we're a country music radio station as well? WFPR 14 Country, hometown country friend since 1947. Robert Nate here with you on Saturday night playing the best in country music. Woo! You haven't lived till you scratch a little Merle Haggard on a 100-watt radio station. And they can't see you, and so people would listen to me, and I had a very nice voice. And so Bubba would call and say, I'm gonna bring you home to mama. I'm like, no, you don't, Bubba. Bubba, trust me, you don't want to bring me home to mama. Dreaming big, focusing small, all the things I learned from being an athlete, from being on that court, tennis or basketball. So I graduate with honors. Nobody wants to sign me to be a sports reporter. I get offers in news, but not in sports. I received one part-time offer, $5.50 an hour, 30 hours a week, to be the weekend sports anchor in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I didn't hesitate to take that part-time job over a full-time offer in news because that was my dream. Again, to dream big, but focus small. And then when I made it to the worldwide leader in sports, and I was there at Wimbledon, and no, I did not have a tennis racket in my hand, I had this in my hand. But I made it. It was that goal that I had set for myself, and I made it. And it tells all of us to have these dreams, and they may not quite look like you think they will, but they'll be every bit as gratifying. Lastly, I just want to say, I am so moved by everything Rich, Susie, everyone, NCAS, and I'm so excited that you're changing the name. So excited that you're changing the name in 2018. The influence, the impact that they have had for decades, always being ahead of the curve. And now more than ever, it is needed. I think of my mom when she used to say to our family that we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. And that's what I say about what we're facing. We may not have it all together, but honey, together we do have it all. And to understand that, as my mama said, we have so much more in common than not. Why do we focus on those few differences? If you began a sentence by saying, can we all agree that? Can we all agree that family is important, our country is important? And we may look at it differently, but we have agreed that it's important. We have that in common. So let us focus, continue to focus on all the many things that we have in common. Celebrate it, embrace it, instead of those few differences. And to know that it takes courage to believe the best is yet to come. And a night like this, you can't help but be encouraged knowing the best is yet to come. So congratulations again to all the honorees. Thank you for sharing your story, because I know and you know it is a privilege to be used as a messenger. And the message is resilience, hope, determination, and the Lord. Thank you all very, very much.
Raise your hand if Robin Roberts just snatched her whole life. She just snatched mine. So this is the conclusion of our evening. I want to thank Dr. Lapchick, Susie Cates, wherever you are. You're the best. Thank you for making this a seamless process. Thank you to Dr. Harrison, who got me involved with the DeVos program. Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it, Doc, with your long title. We're going to work on shortening that. And thank you all. Oh, of course, thank you to all the honorees. You guys are something special and magical, and I have certainly left here moved, and as Robin said, feeling like the best is yet to come. And thank you to those flats that are sitting in my purse, because, woof, I got to get out these heels, y'all. So you know what they say, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. So thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your evening.